Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie getting together was a huge scandal since the former was married at the time. After their clandestine beginning, it took these two forever to finally tie the knot. It seemed like almost immediately after marrying, they became embroiled in a messy divorce. Before we get into the messy details, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more from TheTalko. Let's get started. With each new marriage, the odds of it ending in divorce greatly increases. Before we get to Brad, let's talk about Angelina's previous husbands. You'll see that meeting her parents at work is a common theme when it comes to her romantic relationships. She met actor Johnny Lee Miller on the set of the 1995 movie Hackers. The two fell in love and married a mere 6 months after filming. If you're picturing a lavish Hollywood wedding, let us stop you. Jolie wore a pair of rubber pants and a white t-shirt with her new husband's name on it written in blood. Hey, and they say romance is dead. Although Jolie walked down the aisle with Miller, there was someone else she nearly married instead. At the same time, she was seeing actress Jenny Shimizu, who she met on the set of the teen drama Foxfire. According to Jolie, it was love at first sight. She even claimed that if she hadn't married Miller, she would have ended up marrying Shimizu instead. But as we know, she did marry Johnny Lee Miller. The marriage didn't last, but the two remain friends to this day. Next up was Angelina Jolie's much more highly publicized relationship with Billy Bob Thornton. They met on the set of Pushing Tin, and at the time they were both involved with other people. Angelina Jolie was dating her Playing God co-star Timothy Hutton, and Thornton was engaged to Laura Dern. However, in no time at all, Jolie and Thornton were married, leaving their prior partners shocked and feeling betrayed. Jolie and Thornton certainly seemed passionate about each other. They even wore vials of each other's blood around their necks. According to Thornton, the two had different goals in life. While Jolie loved to travel, Thornton was a homebody. He claims he never felt good enough for her, and the marriage ultimately ended in divorce. As we all know, Angelina Jolie's next marriage was to Brad Pitt. The two met on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and at the time, Pitt was married to actress Jennifer Aniston. Considering Jolie's past of relationship overlaps and sleeping with co-stars, it was easy to cast her as the villain in this love saga. Naturally, people felt angry at the other woman, but that's not the whole story. According to Pitt, he was looking for a way out of his marriage to Jennifer Aniston when he met Angelina Jolie. Unlike other Hollywood marriages, there seemed free of infidelities and scandals, which is what made their split so shocking. But Pitt was feeling burnt out and unhappy in his marriage and had felt that way for a long time. For her part, Aniston claims she was aware of these issues and was willing to put the work in to save their marriage. But apparently, Brad Pitt was willing to cut and run, and found the perfect opportunity when he met Angelina Jolie. Jolie claims that when she and Pitt met, neither one was looking for love. While working together, the two formed a very real friendship with one another that gradually grew into something more. By the time filming wrapped up on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the two were completely smitten with one another. To many outsiders, it seemed like her relationship with Brad Pitt mimicked her past romances. They met on set while one of them was involved with someone else and quickly began a relationship. But the difference this time was that they weren't rushing down the aisle. In fact, they waited so long to get married that some people doubted it would ever happen. Both Pitt and Jolie acknowledged they had been married before and seemed ambivalent on getting married again. It even took them a while to define the relationship. According to Jolie, it wasn't until her son Maddox started calling Pitt dad that the pair considered making their romance official. Soon after, their family was joined by another child named Zahara, who was adopted from Ethiopia. Although Jolie was the official adopter, Pitt was still considered part of the family. Then everyone was shocked to learn that the two of the most beautiful people in Hollywood were expecting a child together. Pitt was working to formally adopt Maddox and Zahara when Jolie discovered she was pregnant. Soon the world was graced with the presence of Shiloh Jolie Pitt. Since the couple now had 3 children together, we all wondered when they were going to tie the knot already. But as we all know, the couple wasn't done adding kids to their family. Next came their son Pax, who was adopted from Vietnam. Before we knew it, Jolie was pregnant once more, this time with twins Vivian and Knox. Now the couple had 6 kids, spent their time traveling all over the world, and seemed to be crazy in love with one another. For a long time, Jolie and Pitt stated they would not be getting married until gay couples also had the right to marry. They claimed it didn't seem right to them that they could join together when that basic right was denied to so many others. But over time, huge strides were made in terms of marriage equality, and the couple faced pressure from a pretty persuasive source: their kids. According to Pitt, their kids were constantly asking when their parents would get married. They wanted the extra sense of stability, and gradually Pitt and Jolie realized they wanted it as well. After a decade of being together, they finally got engaged. These two were established in their careers, they were experienced in relationships, and they had been together for a decade. It seemed as if all signs were pointing to a long-lasting marriage, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Prior to getting engaged, Jolie had undergone a preventative mastectomy in order to reduce her risk of developing cancer. After losing her mother, grandmother, and aunt to the disease, she wasn't willing to take any chances. When doctors told her she was showing warning signs of cancer, Jolie took action. Shortly after the wedding, Jolie once again had surgery, removing her ovaries in another attempt to avoid getting cancer. This would be difficult for anyone to go through, let alone a mother of 6, but for all intents and purposes, it seemed as if she and her husband were a united front dedicated to supporting one another. However, although they were all smiles for the cameras, things were getting bad in the Jolie-Pitt household. The couple was facing serious issues and were growing apart. Jolie had an idea on how to save her marriage, and it was a little unorthodox. She wrote, directed, and starred in a movie called By the Sea about a couple dealing with marital problems. She and Pitt hadn't been on set together in a decade, and she was hoping doing so again would cause them to fall back in love and work on their issues. They had worked together brilliantly in the past, and Jolie was sure they could do it again. In the movie, Pitt's character is intent on writing a short story and burying his troubles in alcohol. It turns out this may have been art imitating life a bit too closely. When we think of a Hollywood actor with a drinking problem, we usually think of highly publicized DUIs and stints in rehab. But there are many people out there, celebrity or not, who are functional alcoholics, and Brad Pitt was one of them. He later admitted he had a serious drinking problem and could drink a Russian under the table with his own vodka. For a long time, Pitt was in denial until he realized he couldn't recall a single day in which he didn't drink since college. After wrapping up By the Sea, Pitt and Jolie seemed to be kept busy and far apart with various projects. Pitt was filming Allied and War Machine, while Jolie worked on First They Killed My Father. The next thing we knew, Jolie was filing for divorce. She did so citing irreconcilable differences, but the truly shocking part was that she requested physical custody of the children. These two had been so committed to parenting together, we had to wonder what went wrong for Jolie to limit Pitt's involvement with their children. It was only later that we learned of Pitt's struggles with substance abuse. This, combined with his alleged anger issues, is what led Jolie to file for divorce. There was an incident aboard the family's private jet which caused Pitt to be investigated by both the FBI and the Los Angeles Department of Child and Family Services. According to reports, Jolie and Pitt were fighting, and Maddox jumped in to defend his mother. At that point, Pitt was accused of engaging in a physical altercation with his own son. Sources disagree on just how intoxicated Pitt was at this time, but both agencies concluded that they found no evidence of abuse. Brad Pitt admits that being served with divorce papers felt like a type of death. His first instinct was to cling to his wife and his marriage, but it was too late. According to Pitt, he has seen many couples come to hate each other after divorce. Because they have children together, he desperately didn't want this to be the case with himself and Jolie. He became dedicated to getting clean and making friends with his soon-to-be ex-wife. Brad Pitt was all too ready to accept the blame for his failed relationship and believed he wasn't grateful enough for what he had with his wife and family. But before we blame everything on Pitt, remember there are two sides to this story. While he made mistakes, Pitt was eager to rectify them and quit drinking cold turkey. But while he wanted to keep his family together, it seemed Jolie was desperate to tear it apart. A judge threatened to remove her primary custody if she didn't stop interfering with Pitt seeing his kids. After the plane incident, Jolie stopped working for a year and became increasingly reclusive. She did everything in her power to prevent Pitt from seeing their children. Jolie claimed she needed to take an entire year off to make sure that her children were doing all right. She referred to her kids as her best friends and admits that she can be reclusive during the best of times. It's hard to say whether Jolie was dedicated to helping her children heal or if she was relying on them for emotional support during this time. Despite his struggles, Pitt is committed to keeping clean and has even voluntarily taken drug tests to prove this. Still, it's been difficult to see his children. Even when visitation was arranged, Maddox allegedly refused to attend several of the sessions. Eventually, Pitt and his son were able to reunite with the help of a family therapist. Like any other couple working on getting a divorce, Pitt and Jolie began to divide up their property. This included selling their vineyard, Chateau Miraval. The estate and vineyard are located in the village of Correns, France. Currently, the bottles produced say Jolie Pitt, but new labels are being printed for future batches. Considering the fact that Pitt struggles with alcoholism, we're guessing he's glad to say goodbye to one more temptation. And what would any good Hollywood divorce story be without rumors of an affair? During her marriage to Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie kept him isolated from many of his friends, including George Clooney. Naturally, after their split, Pitt was eager to reconnect with old friends he had lost touch with and forge new connections. Immediately, we heard rumors that George Clooney was trying to set him up with his ex-wife Jennifer Aniston, but these were honestly pretty laughable. One rumor which made slightly more sense was that Pitt was having an affair with Marion Cotillard. Had Pitt once more found love on set with his allied co-star, making this situation even more scandalous was that Cotillard was expecting a child with longtime partner Guillaume Canet. However, we're going to file this under spurious rumors. Cotillard flat out denied any involvement with Brad Pitt and claimed to wish him and his soon-to-be ex-wife the best. And of course, there was unsubstantiated rumors that Jolie has already moved on as well, including some that she's involved with a mysterious philanthropist and is ready to move herself and her children in with him and get married. But if for no other reason than this divorce being dragged on forever, we highly doubt it. During their contentious divorce battle, Jolie claims Pitt failed to provide child support, but Pitt shows that he not only gave his soon-to-be ex-wife $1.3 million, but he lent her $8 million to buy a new home. Every time we think this divorce must be getting close to being finalized, something else happens to drag it out further. Who do you think holds the majority of the blame for the split of this famous couple? Let us know your thoughts on their relationship, then hit the subscribe button for more videos from TheTalko. Thanks for watching!